thank you for being our first guest.
Oh, thanks for having us, mate. It's good.
And obviously, thank you for the seminar. I've just gone through a 2-hour seminar with you. Just, like the details I found really, for me personally and selfishly, I found really cool because it's stuff that a lot of the stuff that I already do, and it fits into my game perfectly. But it's those little details coming from someone who's been doing it all their life that I wouldn't have learned because I've picked bits and bits off of different people that are very good at it, but quite often it's been people that don't that just do judo or just do wrestling, and it doesn't transfer into the grappling very well.
I've like slowly got better with it all as well. So like I'd say like my personal gym at home, Carlson's, it's only actually been open 3 years. So like when we first started, obviously like my background's judo, but by the time we'd opened that gym, I'd done BJJ for like 7 or 8 years as well. But I'd always done a bit of nogi, like as in terms of like to help with judo, because like if you remember, like old school judo used to be like wrestling in a gi.
Yeah.
Like before they banned leg grabs.
Yeah, they took leg grabs.
Yeah, it was like literally wrestling in a gi. So like we'd actually like in a judo class sometimes the coach would just say, right, take your gi off. So you just leave your trousers on, throw your jacket off, and you just spar no gi. So I always had a decent feel for it through that. But then when I opened my own place, like I had like my own techniques, like when we go tos, which I'd teach everyone to use for takedowns. But then obviously, like when I started competing myself, and I started to think about everything a little bit more, and literally over the last 3 years, if you looked at what I was teaching 3 years ago to what I'm teaching now, it's just got better and better. Like it's just.
That's something I actually wanted to ask you. Like, how have you found? Obviously, you was already an accomplished grappler. When I teach jiu-jitsu, I have to teach all the stuff that I don't use. I have to teach all the bolos and the spider guards. So don't get me wrong, I'll use them to some extent when I'm competing in a gig, but it's not my go-to. So how have you gone about developing yourself to then pass that information on to your students?
I've I'll kind of teach everything, but not everything. Like I do teach stuff that I don't use. But first, like with my gym, I've kind of just thought I have a complete game. Just get everyone good at that first. Like I've brought a bloke in. I brought Jason Broadhead in, who's a good black belt. He comes in and he literally teaches leg locks for us. So anyone who more wants to go down the avenue of leg locks, they can work a bit closer to Jace than me.
And you brought that in just because of the trend of
yeah, because like I'm shit at leg locks. I'm 31. Like I've done loads and loads and loads of judo to the point where I just never even want to look at judo again. Now I've done quite a bit of grappling. I train with all the MMA lads. Like I just train everything. But like for me, it's like the level that I'm competing at in grappling now. Like like people tell me all the time, like practice leg locks, get good at leg locks. And it's like the people I'm fighting now, for me to try and sit and leg lock them, it's nearly impossible and it's stupid. It's like they're too good for me to now start playing leg locks and then go and finish them with leg locks. It's like I might as well just play my own game and get familiar with leg locks so I can just stop them doing it to me.
So how are you doing that? Are you learning the technique to the extent where you understand the mechanics and the system to then know how to escape it?
Yeah, so like that's why I got Jason initially. It was like a little bit of a selfish thing. I was competing and I knew like because I had a decent background in everything standing and I've got decent pressure passing and that. I knew like the majority of people that I compete against are just going to try and grab my ankles. So I brought Jason to like teach us leg locks. But basically, as he was teaching them, I was just like playing with them to build familiarity of what that person's doing underneath me. But more or less, just more than anything, to know how to actually escape. It's definitely helped. It's like it's just an area of the game. Like genuinely, I've tried, but for whatever reason, like I just cannot get excited about leg locks. And for me now, like when I go training, if I'm not excited about something now, after doing it for so long, I just don't fucking do it.
I think I was quite lucky when I started jiu-jitsu in 2009. Well, initially it was MMA I started, but they were predominantly a jiu-jitsu gym. The coach today was Lee Johnson. He was like one of the pioneers of like really early UK MMA. He did a lot of leg locks and knee bars and heel hooks and toe holds. So even as a white belt, like 6 months in, I'm learning this stuff. And he was very big on like learn it, but just know where you can use it. Okay, you can't use that to your brown belt. So you've got from now into your brown belt to get rid of it. I think with the whole transition of heel hooks coming into things, I think my heel hooks are good, my leg hooks are good, but my knee bars and my toe holds are better. So anytime someone's trying to attack a heel hook on me, quite often there's a toe hold available. So that's how I found a way around doing it. But I can imagine it's quite difficult to, like I said, get excited about it and also get good enough at it to do it at that world class level.
Yeah, but I think it was about 2 years ago though, the UK, it just went wild on leg locks though. To the point now where there's like a lot of, I'm doing a lot of seminars now, and a lot of the gyms I go to, it's like white belts are great at leg locks, but they can't do fuck all else. It's like, honestly, we have though, like they're great at leg locks, but if you pass the guard, nothing. If they stood up, nothing. If they have to pass guard, nothing. Like it's kind of it went to this avenue where everyone was that leg lock crazy that they forgot that like you have to be able to control somebody before you can do anything. So like that's one thing I think our gym's very good with, is we literally do teach to take people down and pin them, pass guard and pin them, get up off the bottom first, and then you can put whatever you want on the back of that once you're good at that.
It was probably like 2010. I watched a Robert Drysdale DVD, like a pirate version of it, and something he said that stuck with me the whole time was like his game is take down, pass guard, attack the back, and anything that comes up or comes along the way, he might take. Even points, like he won't initially go for points. He wants to take down, pass, and take the back. So if he picks up mount on the way, or he picks up a knee or belly on the way, he'll pick it up. But that's kind of stuck with me, and that's definitely how I teach at my place as well, and that's still my style now. I can do some flamboyant stuff, and I'll jump for a triangle, or I'll do a rolling toe hold, but initially it's just take down, pass, take it back, jump.
I think in like a tournament and that though, like the higher the level, the more simple it actually becomes though, because like some of the people I'm competing against now, like if I don't have a very simple, direct plan of action, then I'm gonna lose. Like that's what we were trying to do in the seminar today. It's like I can show 50 techniques. You don't need 50. You just need 3. Literally, right? It's like there's so much, especially in jiu-jitsu now because of all the instructionals and that. There's so much shit available, but you just genuinely don't need it all. Like I think people just need to like try and find the game. Like I know for me now, it's like take down, pass, mount or back. That's all I want. If someone puts me on my back, I'm going to create a scramble so I can get back up. I'm not doing anything else. And if someone can handle that, then they will definitely beat me.
And the thing is, you're doing that on the biggest stages in the world, and it's working. And not only that, you're doing that coming from a sport that, okay, it's grappling, but like judo was your predominant sport, isn't it? And the difference between the kind of judo ground game and the jiu-jitsu ground game is vastly different. But it works.
It works because, do you know, like I have obviously trained jiu-jitsu for a long time, but it's never been like what some people see as like traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like I've never been on my back practicing like De La Rivas, reversed. I'm honestly like I've probably in my whole life I've probably spent 25 minutes drilling a De La Riva. Like my whole game is judo really.
You and Dan, I saw Dan's podcast. He was talking about how you kind of come across a problem, and you got so I forget the reverse De La Riva as well referred to, and it's like okay, I'm a little bit stuck here, and then you go away and you just solve that problem and come back to it.
That's it, yeah. Mate, I just play like my most simple game, which is to get on top of you and stay on top of you until you're fucked. And then when you're fucked, I'll finish it. If you're not fucked, I'm just going to stay on top.
And it's just really basic to do, isn't it?
It's so basic.
And it's working for you on the biggest stages. Take us through, just briefly, but take us through from like your days as in the starting from judo. So you went from rugby into kind of judo and found that crossover, didn't you?
Yeah.
Take us from there.
So like, I started playing rugby when I was 5, because where I'm from, St Helens, is just literally a rugby town. It's like every kid in St Helens, lads, will start with rugby. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like everyone plays rugby. It's all like every lad and a lot of girls watch St Helens Rugby League Club like religiously. Like, my dad used to take me every 2 weeks, home game, I'd go and watch. So I played rugby from 5, and then when I was 8, a bloke came into my school teaching judo, and it was just fun. You know, like, it shows one technique, play 4 games. Shows another technique, play 4 games. Class finished.
How old were you then?
8.
Yeah.
So it was fun. So it just made me want to keep going back. It was a 6-week course. I got to the end of the 6 weeks. They give a load of letters out, and they're like, if you want to take this more serious, you can come down to the club. The club, they got me dad basically. So the coach said to me, Dad, this will help with rugby. So like, as soon as he said that, I didn't have a choice. And my dad was like, we're going. So I've gone. So at that point, I was training judo then Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I was training rugby Tuesday, Thursday. The club I was at, I just dropped on basically. Like, I used to do judo Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they'd have a separate coach who did freestyle wrestling Tuesday, Thursday, and then we had a separate coach who did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on a Sunday. So if there wasn't a rugby match on, I'd just do the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well on a Sunday. Now and then I'd miss rugby and do wrestling instead. Did that till I was about 14, and then I got my first British Championship medal as a cadet, which is under 15, I think, or under 17. I got silver, which puts you on the GB team then. So like, now as an adult, I know like it don't really mean anything. When you're a kid and you get a letter and it's like you're on the GB team, you're now invited to come to squad training and that, you think you fucking made it. It's like, I got this letter and I thought it was great. And then at the time I was on a scholarship scheme for Saints Rugby League Club at under 16s. So like, when you're at these professional rugby league clubs, when you get to about 16, it gets a little bit more serious where you have to dedicate more time. So I had like my annual end of the year meeting about next year, and they said, if you want to carry, we want to keep you, but if you want to carry on, you have to quit judo, and it's rugby every night. And I just got this medal, I'd just got on the British team, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I actually quit rugby instead. And so then I was doing judo 3 nights a week, wrestling twice, jiu-jitsu on a Sunday. Finished school at 15. My mum she made me go to college, which was a waste of time in the end. Mate, it was just something ridiculous, because I wanted to leave straight away. I wanted to just move full time judo. My mum said if I went to college, she'd back me for 2 years financially while I went training full time. I went to college because like I had no interest in actually doing college. I think I picked PE, obviously, which ended up being horrendous, because when you actually had to, academic PE is not PE, is it? Like, I liked PE when we were just playing rugby. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it wasn't PE how I knew it. So I think I picked PE, English, and then something ridiculous like leisure studies, which is just like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I got no qualifications. Like, I think it was 1D, 2Es or something like that. Like, I was barely, like, I was paying no attention really. And then as soon as college finished, I would have been top end of 16, bottom 17 in just 2 years. I'm born in August, so I was pretty young. Then I moved straight away. I moved to Dartford. I lived over the road from Dartford Judo Club for about 3 years. No, about 2 years. But I didn't like it. So it went from like, I used to train every night when I was at home. But if one of my mates wanted to go out, or if one of my mates wanted to go and watch rugby, we'd just go. There was no like pressure. When I moved here, we started getting a little bit of money to train and to compete for the British team. So we had to be here every morning. We had to be here every night. And I never wasn't. But if you didn't turn up, someone would be asking you where you were. It just became very serious. So I did about a year to 2 years like that, and then I didn't like it at all. So I actually moved back to St Helens. Had about a year at home. Moved back to a different full-time centre called Camberley Judo Club, which is like a completely different environment. It's When I was in Dartford, just one of my mates had a flat which they provided. When I went to Camberley, it's like a cabin on bricks, and it's like 15 athletes all live in one cabin. It's 10 bedrooms, they've all got bunk beds in, so you just live on like a military style bunk bed. You have one living room between all here, one kitchen that you all share, one bathroom that you all share, and training's next door. So it's like you have to be there, but you're literally with your mates all day. It's like you train, you eat really well, then you like playing Xbox with each other, having a laugh, go and have a nap, get up, then you spar with each other, then you come back, play Xbox. If you're not competing on the weekends, you go out and have a few beers because you were young. So it was more like really, really good quality hard training, but a lot more fun in between. So I managed to stay there then for like 10 years, and that's kind of
what was the difference between Dartford and Camberley? Like, yeah, you said it was more relaxed, but what about the coaching?
So, like Camberley coaching was unreal. So like the difference between them at the time is the Dartford one, which is now in Walsall, was like seen as the performance institute. So if you chose to go to Dartford, you get paid. It wasn't a lot. I think I was getting like £7 grand a year just to train. So you get a little bit of money, and then all like tournaments and things would get paid for by British Judo, the governing body. Whereas when you decide to go to Camberley, it's an official full-time centre, but it's not a British Judo full-time centre. So when you go to Camberley, you choose to not get support financially. You choose to find your own sponsors who'll fund your tournaments rather than them paying for you. But mate, like the coach Luke Preston ended up being the Team GB Olympic coach. He ended up being the Team England Commonwealth Games head coach. And like at one point, Camberley was literally like Ashley McKenzie was 60 kilo, number 1 in Britain. Nathan Burns was 66, he was number 2 in Britain. Danny Williams, my training partner, was 73, he was number 1 in Britain. I was 81, I was number 1 in Britain. Fraser was 90, he was number 2 in Britain. So it was like, we were all from Camberley, none of us were getting support.
Well, actually medal in the Olympics, didn't he?
He didn't medal, no. He's been to 3. Right. He's qualified for 3. He's still doing judo. Yeah. Absolutely fucking mental. He's still doing judo. Now he's fighting for Jamaica.
Really?
So he'll probably get a 4th games, I think.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? How did you find the... So I've been involved in elite level sport in taekwondo, as I mentioned earlier, and boxing.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is I've developed boxers over the years that have gone from club level to national level or international level. Now, I found with them a lot is when they went from club level where they're comfortable, they've got their coach who they have that relationship with. So when they go to, I suppose, the elite performance squads, they're getting coached by somebody else. They struggle to build that relationship. Is that ever a factor for you?
It's not for me. What, as in like me being the athlete?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was like Dartford. So like when I first moved to Dartford, the new head coach was a French guy called Patrick Roux. And he's a really good coach knowledge-wise, but there's a bit of a communication barrier. He's like super French, like not great English at all. Had a very, very different style to what us lot actually used. And he was really trying to push that style on us. So like we'd been training like about 8 years by then, and then this bloke was just like tearing our style apart. And we'd known him 2 weeks, so it wasn't like we had loads of trust in him either. We didn't really know if we were going to get success fighting this way. Obviously, you'll know yourself, if someone completely tears your game apart and tries to rebuild it, then that's going to take years in itself. And we were already fighting at a high level, so it wasn't like we were at a level where we could experiment with new things. Like if you experimented, you were just losing.
Yeah, because we haven't repped it 10,000 times.
Exactly. So then when we went to Camberley, Luke was just so good. Luke, like, he'd just look at how you fought, and instead of changing it, he'd just see how you fought and just add little bits to it. So every single time we did a tournament at Camberley, we did video analysis on the Monday. So you'd have like your own individual meeting, like an half an hour slot with Luke, and you just sit and watch your matches or match depending on how it had gone. And then that week you'd leave that meeting with like 1 or 2 focuses for the next 4 weeks, and then like it'd never get overcomplicated. You genuinely get like 1 or 2 focuses which would last you for the next 4 weeks, and then in 4 weeks you'd have another meeting, and then you'd watch another video of you competing. So we compete nearly every 2 weeks then, and then we'd see if we'd actually used what we spoke about, or if you hadn't. If you hadn't, and that was the same goal to do it next month. If you had, you just add another little layer to it, and he wasn't changing people; he was just building them. It seemed to work better.
You do the same thing now with your streams. You go over video, and when they've competed in the weekend, you analyse it the following week.
We're not at that point yet. Like the thing is with our gym, it's like it's been open 3 years now, and obviously it's like 85% of the people in our gym are recreational. So it's like loads of them compete, but one, there's too many to do video with them. Two, they're not taking it unbelievably serious. But we are getting towards the point with the MMA group. Like we have training 8 a.m. every morning, which is for the MMA team, which is either striking, shoot boxing, wall wrestling, and these lads are obviously fighting like every, say, 2 months, every 3 months, amateur at the moment. But that's more similar to what I was doing than having a big recreational group. So we are getting very close to, it's always the same group at 8 a.m. Everyone's very consistent, becoming more serious. So like the next step, I've actually already mentioned it to them. Their next step will be like when they fight, just watch it and see what we can do better.
I do a few of my guys that compete regularly. Danielle being one of them actually. We always go through Danielle's videos and analyse her fights and work out what she did wrong, where she went wrong. I do, to be honest, anyone that if we have 2 or 3 people go out on the weekend, they will send me the videos, I'll watch it, and then we'll work on it. Sometimes I'll actually use what we've, like where they went wrong, we will coach that in the session so everyone can learn from it, which also works out quite well.
I think it's a massive, I think you improve massively by doing that. Like I don't do it for myself anymore. I kind of need a coach to do that for me. I don't have a coach anymore, but like,
why not?
Just because like I've got my own gym, and yeah, like basically there's no one really in that area that could be my coach. But yeah, I think I am actually the only black belt in up. I think, or there might be one more single black belt in up who's a lot older.
So I've had a similar problem since I've opened my place, but my coach is Marco Kanda, who runs Fight Zone in London.
Right.
So I got graded under him from I've always been with Checkmate, but I got graded under Marco, and I got my blue off of my old club under Leo Vieira, my purple under Leo Vieira, and then my brown and my black under Marco and Ricardo Vieira, the other brothers, the guys that Checkmate. So I always have Marco there to help me. He's there in my competitions, if it's a big competition, he's there. I feel like a bit of a puppet when he's there as well, because it's like I can hear him and I'm just doing what he's telling me to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not really thinking much. I think that is a big difference from me going to a competition knowing he's there. So I can imagine it being quite hard. I noticed you've had Danny around a little bit, which is great because he's obviously very well known in the scene, knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Like Danny teaches at our gym once a week, so he runs the MMA class on the Tuesday night. We've done some grappling before it. Danny's shit hot. Like I'd have him over every day if I could. But where he lives is about 45 minutes away. He's got a family and that. And he's got his own gym as well. He doesn't do as much there anymore. But I'd love to have Danny over every night. But I don't know. I've almost built this thing now where like Danny's helped me now and then in terms of like cornering me. But mate, I can like literally like over the last 2.5 years, Danny's been in my corner twice.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've just like been pissing about. Like genuinely though, like I remember it was funny because like we went to the ADCC trials, and Jay was in my corner. And Jay's just one of my blue belts. Like he's just one of my mates. Like he's been training under me for like 2 years. And like literally, I just remember walking out in the final of the trials, like fucking 8 kilos underweight, and just saying to Jay, just like, don't fucking say anything. Just shout 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 for the time. And then I ended up at Worlds in Las Vegas, and I had one of my purple belts in the shirt. Like, it's mental, really, because obviously I had Kine and Duarte first round, who's got about 6 lads from Atos in his corner. And I had my purple belt in the corner, just shouting out the time. But I don't know, it's a weird one. It's like, I find I don't really need someone in my corner anymore. I feel like if someone's shouting it to me now, and I've not seen it, I feel like I've already lost it.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm already too slow, or I'm already a second behind. If you're seeing it and shouting it to me, he's probably moved before I can even do it.
And you can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like I kind of like just going out now. Someone shouting me the time, so I know I can really up the pace for how long I've got left.
What I like is having just someone there just to tell me to get up if I'm being lazy. you know when you get to the point where you come back in, it's like, even on points and you like give up something and then they're on your back now. Sometimes I just think, okay, I'll move. I had the same thing. I was fighting Charles Neville one day from Hodger Gracie at the AJ Penny in London. He's wrestling's great. He's got good takedowns, but so am I. And I nearly took him down with like a Uchimata when he went. He went for a single, I think. But that landed off the mat. And then he went for a single again. Like I stepped behind and grabbed the far leg and put him on his back. But like he was constantly trying to wrestle me. And all I wanted was foot sweep him. I have a lot of
this gi, is it?
Yeah, gi, yeah. So I just wanted to foot sweep him, but he kept on going for a single. But there's a couple of times I nearly gave up the single leg defense. And I could just hear Marco going, "Don't give it up, Steve. Stand up, stand up." And it made a big difference because my mindset was starting to break. I was like, "No."
Sometimes you just need reminding, don't you?
Yeah.
It does help. That's like that's it. It's why it's a funny one. Like sometimes it does help. When did Danny last call me? Like last time I had Danny in my call. Oh, Polaris. And that helped because I was absolutely blowing up my ass.
Yeah.
Against Weidman, and he was
going
wild.
Like, sort of footage of him like tapping the floor. Yes.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Little things like that help. Yeah. That's where he's good because he's not really giving me advice though. He's just pushing me on, and I need it. So.
You've travelled a lot, right? Competing in sport. It's I think that's one. Like I've been away for the world traveling, competing and training jiu-jitsu as well. Just training and teaching. I've been to like Hawaii, Iceland. I do a camp in Iceland every year. That's the good thing about the sport. It does take you all over the place, doesn't it?
Yeah, judo is ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like on your elite programs as well. You're doing.
We were like I said, we were away every 2 weeks. It's like. Honestly, it's probably easy to say where I've not been with judo.
Yeah.
Like the majority of Eastern Europe have been Japan, China.
Tell us about that.
Which one? China.
Japan and China. It was China was the one, right?
China, yeah.
That's China.
It's fucked. I went to Japan on my own to train for like 4 weeks. I was in an earthquake as well.
Really?
So have you ever been in an earthquake?
No.
Weird, mate. Like I was staying in this. So in Japan, all the judo's done in universities. Yeah. Like literally the highest level judo in Japan. It's completely different to Britain. It's in their universities. So like their university will just like study all day. So they do some mad running around the athletics track every morning, like 6 a.m. They all meet on the athletics track and just run like fuck. And they go and study, and then you all meet up in the dojo in the evening, as they call it, and you just do 14 7-minute rounds, which is like absolutely brutal. And it's the same set, literally the same session every night. They don't do any technique in Japan. So like they do all the technical work till the 16, and then after 16, as they call you a senior, you just spar every night. So they get really quick success. Like if you look at Japanese judo, like they're all Olympic champions when they're 23, but they're all retired when they're 25. Like they're all burnt out. It's so hard. So I stayed in the dorm room. I had a nap. And I didn't know what woke me up. Someone's woke me up. Like I've opened my eyes and like everything was like falling off the wardrobe, and like I didn't know if I was in a dream. Like I was lying on my bed and there was like things falling off the top of my wardrobe. And there's like alarms going off like outside. What the fuck's going on? And like my dorm was like in like a basement style. It was like under the floor. So I've like ran out into the corridor and everything's just shaking and falling off the walls. And then I don't know how long this has been going on, but then it stops.
Do you reckon you slept for about half of it?
Honestly, probably, yeah. So I've gone back in my room, and as this has been happening, in the shower, there was like a little grid in the shower. So like, literally, probably like 30 centimeters long. This grid, and must have been 15 cockroaches coming up from this grid.
Because of the
Yeah, like just running riot in my room. So I'm trying to kill all these cockroaches. Like, it was an absolute shithole, basically. And I was fighting in China the week later. So I flew over to China, but the part of China was called Ho-Hot. So it's spelled Hohhot. It's like genuinely to this day the worst place I've ever been by an absolute mile. Like, I am telling you, mate, like a complete shithole. It's on the border of Mongolia, and absolutely nobody can speak English at all. Like, not even close. So I kind of had a feeling it was going to be like this. So I booked an airport hotel because we were landing at like 3 a.m. So I booked this airport.
was quite close to the hotel.
Well, yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? Like, airport hotel, you'd think like the plane lands and you get to your room. And even better, I thought, right, because no one's probably going to be able to speak English here, I'll even print off the check-in so you can actually see where I'm going. So I land in Ho-Hot, and like, it's absolute fucking carnage. Like, as you'd expect, China, there's just millions of people in this airport, all just dragging bags, throwing them around, spitting everywhere. It's like, fucking hell. So I get outside, and like, people are genuinely like pulling on your clothes to try and get you in their taxi. Like, they're not just shouting at you, like they're physically grabbing your clothes. So I've like brushed off like the first three people or something. I got past them, and this lad comes up to me and he's like shouting in a different language. And so I presume he's a taxi driver. So I'm like, okay, mate, I've just give up now. It's like 3 a.m. So I show him this piece of paper, and he just like tells me to come. So I jump in his car. When I get in the car, I realised it was him, and there was a lad in his passenger seat as well. Straight away, I'm sat thinking it's a bit fucking weird, but like, whatever. So he starts driving, and we get about 20 minutes into the drive, and I realise he had no meter. So I'm thinking, like which taxi has two people in, and which taxi has no meter? And it gets to like 40 minutes, and I'm thinking, I've booked an airport hotel, we should be there by now. So now I start panicking, because when you land in China as well, like, your phone's dead. Like, your signal's gone, you click your Facebook app, it doesn't even load anymore. It's like they have some mad social media ban, like, yeah. So I'm looking at my phone, it's just non-existent. So I'm thinking, like, I'm just an English lad in the middle of like China. No one can speak English. There's two blokes in car. It's 4 a.m. Phone don't work. Like, who gives a fuck if I go missing here, really? Literally, so I'm tapping this bloke on the shoulder now. I'm panicking a bit. And I'm like pointing at this paper, and he just starts shooing me away. I'm thinking, fuck. So now it's been about an hour. He pulls into this it was genuinely like a Chinese council estate. Pulls up outside a normal house. So I'm like absolutely losing my mind now. Like, mate, that's like, I've got a picture of the hotel, and that's clearly not the hotel. He tells me to go in this house, so like, I didn't know what else to do. So I've gone in this house. He's opened the normal bedroom. He told me to go in this bedroom. So I thought, like, something really going on here. So I've like completely refused to go in this bedroom. I've walked outside, but as I walk outside, a white van pulls up. I'm thinking, fucking hell, like, I'm actually fucked. And he's like, open the side door, and there's 5 Chinese blokes in the back. He told me to get in this van. I've got in this van. He shut the door. It's pitch black. So I'm sat in the middle of this van, pitch black. I can just hear these Chinese guys like talking, muttering, whatever. Like, I have no idea what they're saying. And I'm in the back of this van for a little bit, and then they open the door, and I'm outside another house. He texts me in this house, tells me to go in this bedroom. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm not getting back in that van, so I'll just get back in this room. So I've gone in the bedroom this time, he's left. So I've kind of like sat on this bed for 2 or 3 hours thinking, like, waiting for someone to come back, and no one's come back. So somehow I've like dropped off. Woke up in the morning, no one's been back, like, that I know of. I've opened the door, it's unlocked, so I've like walked outside. I was literally in the middle of a council estate, like, there's kids playing Kirby outside, like Chinese kids and that. I've walked for about an hour until I found the main road, flagged the taxi down, shown him the same hotel, and then he drove an hour and a half to get me to that hotel. So like, I still don't know what was going on. But it's strange, isn't it?
I think like, I think a lot of people travel with jiu-jitsu, don't they? They go all over the world, but I think thankfully to the quite populated areas. So
That's it. Like with judo, it's like very budget.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously, like I said before, when we moved to Camberley, everything becomes self-funded. So it's like if I have to fight 15 times a year abroad, then that needs to be absolute budget for my sponsors. So it's like you just travel around, staying in like Formula One hotels, like doing everything as cheap as possible. But like when you're on your own like that, it's probably not that clever to be fair.
It's scary, isn't it? I think jiu-jitsu is such a small community as well, isn't it? So you can, like I can travel to Hawaii and there's checkmate clubs in Hawaii that I can go train at that. They kind of know about me a little bit because they know who my coach is, and it's kind of like it's quite an easy transition. Everyone's so helpful as well. It's like, oh, do you want to? Like, you can stay here, or I've stayed at a guy's house in Hawaii before.
Yeah, there's nothing like that in judo.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? So, tell us a little bit about your philosophy of coaching. So I've noticed just watching you coach, having been in elite sport, you have a very structured approach to what you do.
Yeah, I just like try and I don't know what you call it really. I don't think it's like block teaching or block periodization. I'm not sure what you call it, but like I kind of try and single out a single area and then like build layers in that area. So like I think there's so many things that can, like just today for example, like if I take a single underlock, then you might drop your hips, which is going to present me your neck.
Which most people do.
Yeah. Or attack a single underhook. If you go the opposite way and posture up, I'll take a double underhook, which then can give me a throw by. But then if I get a throw by, you might get a whizzer, which stops me getting to your back. So then I can go knee tap, or I can drop to a single leg, which then I can run down the pipe. Or if your leg's framed across my thigh, I can drag that and take another knee tap. So like I try and just in the gym, I find the best way it kind of goes into people's head is to pick one area so they're not unfamiliar because they're not doing like 10 different things. They might be doing 5 things, but it's literally from one position. Or like if we're practicing like headquarter passing, I'll just do like 2 super simple passes from headquarters, but then stay in that same position, but then give them a knee shield or an half butterfly or a reverse de la Hiva. So then they've done 5 different things that night. That they probably, if they go and step into headquarters and sparring, they'll probably get presented with one of them, which they can then practice active.
So have you tried to formalise that in any way, or is it just very ad hoc and it's kind of like, right, if this happens, this happens?
I have, like, I write a lot, like too much. So like way over the top. So like basically I just get books and just write like fuck. And I wish I didn't do it. It's like an absolute ridiculous habit that I can't get out of. But like it got really bad in lockdown because we couldn't do anything else. You know what I mean? But like I'm an absolute I don't think I'm a geek, as in like how I act. But in jiu-jitsu and grappling and that, like I'm a proper geek. Like, I can sit down in a book and write for 4 hours, no problem. Like I'll just write like spidergrams. And, like I'll just put like a centre circle, bang one position, and then I'll just go. And then like I've done that about fucking 100 times.
So I was taught to do that I think I got taught to do that as a blue belt, and it really helped as well. It definitely helped formalise my jiu-jitsu. So I've got a few structures that I've tried to implement at my club, and I think I told you about this, the takedown defence. So I've got 3 phases of the takedown defence: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 being is you know they're shooting, you can redirect them or just get your hips out of the way. Phase 2 being they've got the single leg now, so you're going to get the whizzer, you're going to get your neck to the outside frame, using your head like you do to break the grip, get your leg out. Phase 3 being is once you've taken me down, I don't lay down flat on my back, because the second I do, that's when you have your takedown, you get your points. I make sure I land on the side of my butt and I redirect your head and I try and get my next one of those being scrambled. So that's something that I like. If I had to, in a competition, if I said to my guys, phase 2, they would know exactly what I'm talking about to start defending. Okay, I've done that with a few different techniques, but this has all come from jotting stuff down in books and just thinking, how can I formalise that in the easiest way possible for my guys to understand when they're training or when they're competing.
I swear by it, mate. Like I tell everyone in our gym, like, when they've not been training long, just get a book and anything you like, just write it down after training. Because, like, it's something I was told to do when I was a proper kid with judo. Because it's almost like there's so, and I see it in our gym now, like, we'll do an absolute huge block on passing. So basically, in our gym, every Wednesday night is passing of some sort. Like, doesn't matter what guard or what style of passing, we'll always pass guard on a Wednesday night. And we always do something on the bottom on a Thursday, and then we always do submissions on a Friday. And then we'll go to a tournament, and some of our lads will compete, and someone will pull guard who's meant to be good at leg locks, and our lad looks like he's never passed guard in his life because he's so scared of approaching this lad's guard because he's got leg locks. And then I go up to that person, I'm like, we pass every week specifically against people who are just going to try and grab our legs. So, like, when someone sits down, like, your approach should be to attack that person for sitting down, not shit your pants because someone's sat down in front of you. But, like, that's just classic of a person that's leaving and not thinking. So I think some people come into the gym, train, tick the box that they've trained, feel great about it, leave, forget everything. And I think, like, that person takes so long to be good, and will probably never get good level success in terms of competition. Probably never. Like, whereas we've got some blue belts in the gym now that are phenomenal because, like, they've never done anything before we opened the gym. So they've only trained like 2 or 3 years, but they got them habits ingrained into them straight away. They've left, jotted it down. So, like, I'm really confident now I could pick 8 of our blue belts, give them every single position I could think of, and they'd have at least one answer. Whereas some of the others can't, who are more experienced, who've trained at other gyms before our gym. And I think it just comes from, like, I've always been told, like, if you do a session, just go and write 2 things that you like. And slowly over, like, a long time, from doing that, I've just built a big game. And, like, if we're struggling in any area or I'm really interested in an area, I'll just look out there at who's doing seminars with that area in their game. I'll just get them in. I'll just pick 2 things that I like from their seminar and just throw it in our game. Like, we don't really have seminars in our gym because the person's popular. I only have seminars in our gym if it's actually going to help the team's game. Like, I won't get someone in if they're showing something that we'll never use.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I've obviously gone to a lot of seminars over the years. I've gone to some seminars and I'm just thinking it's literally taught me nothing that I don't already know. I might pick up one little detail out of the whole thing and I'm like, that's just not helping me at all. I've just spent 3 hours of my life on £60.
That's it,
to do that. But there's some seminars, like you said, it might not be from someone who's famous or a world champion, but the details you get from it is just phenomenal. I think, like I said earlier, the details you brought to the club today just transfers so well into what we do and, like, our philosophy. Like, obviously my background side of MMA, when I grapple, I don't particularly put myself on the bottom unless it's a strategy. Like, if I'm fighting somebody who is going to launch me through the air, I'm going to fall back. There's not many people, like, maybe we mentioned John Morris earlier, but my ego will make me play stand up with him for a little while, and then he'll launch me once, and I'm like, no, I don't want that again. He just thrown his whole body weight through me, landed on me, I've had enough of that. So I'll pull guard on him again. But I won't pull guard unless it's strategic. Like, maybe I'm up on points. I don't want to risk getting taken down, so I'm going to pull guard and wait 30 seconds. But the whole philosophy of my grappling has probably come from MMA, and it's the mindset of that as well. But let's talk about it actually, like the mindset of jiu-jitsu compared to wrestling and judo.
I just think, like, the intensity of wrestling and judo is, like, completely different. And that's why I think, like, if people cross over from high level judo and wrestling to jiu-jitsu, if they actually just pay a little bit of attention to jiu-jitsu and the small differences between judo and wrestling, and just learn things like leg locks, familiarity with the positions, familiarity with the entries, how to defend them. Honestly, they'd fly through.
Yeah.
Because like just the intensity alone, like, will carry them so far. Then all that will cost them on top of that is if they haven't paid the time to actually learn jiu-jitsu, because they will just get caught with something that is completely out of judo and wrestling. If they pay jiu-jitsu a little bit of attention, like the intensity, if you can carry that across, because I find like a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms or schools, wherever, they don't wrestle. So it's like, genuinely, like, I say to people in our gym, like, you don't have to be a good wrestler, but like, just wrestle for the conditioning. Because like, if you can wrestle hard for 3 minutes, you can grapple so easy for 6.
Why don't you think they wrestle?
It's hard.
I think so.
Yeah, like, it's hard. Like,
I've got a slightly different theory.
if we wrestle on a Monday, and then I put in our group, right, another big wrestling session tonight, it'll be fucking 3 people.
No, when we do some takedown sessions in my gym, I don't ever tell them what we're doing, but they'll get the gist quite early. And if it is big takedowns, they're like, oh, you can see everyone's eyes roll like, oh, they spend all night getting walked around the mat.
Yeah.
They won't quite connect to our later.
See, we, like, what I try to do so people don't dislike wrestling a lot is like not putting a big emphasis on how you actually finish something. So, do you know, like, just saying to them, like, I'm just going to wrestle to the back. So, like, if I get to a rear body lock, I can just drag someone to turtle instead of suplexing them.
That's what I noticed today, actually, as well. Like, all of the takedowns,
there's no slams at all.
There's no high impact takedowns.
That's what I've tried to do. So everyone, like we'll wrestle on a Thursday now. It's 27, 28 on our wrestling class every Thursday, because no one's getting slammed. And we've learned that over time. Like, fucking hell, mate, some of the stuff I've seen. Like, our first gym was in like a basement, and genuinely the roof was like 7 foot. So it was like proper low roof. And we've got a lad called Addis. He's a big Bosnian lad. He's literally like 128 kilo or something. And he's grappling this lad who's still at the gym called Adam Wilson. And I genuinely seen Addis, double leg Adam, lifting that high that his head went through a tile in the ceiling. And then he dropped him on the back of his neck. And I was like, if I don't do something about this, someone's going to die or someone's going to get really badly injured. And at the end of the day, like, you need people to come back, don't you? So we've had to change that, but like, it makes sense now for grappling anyway. It's like a slam is a huge effort. In jiu-jitsu, you slam someone, you're either going to get some points for the takedown, but you just used a load of energy just for the sake of a couple of points, or you get fucking disqualified. So like, we just practice, get to like a rear body lock, drag them to the mat, attack the back, get to a front headlock, drag them to the mat, choke them or attack the back, create scrambles from doubles and singles. But there's not really any takedowns that I actually teach at all anymore that actually involves a big slam.
Also, it's the time it's going to take somebody to learn those big takedowns, like a Taotoshi or a Uchimata or something like that. That's a lot more technical.
Yeah.
It's the amount of time it's going to take them to learn to do that properly.
Yeah.
Rather than what you're teaching, like what you taught today, and you're doing stuff in the slap down and the body lock.
I just think with jiu-jitsu, it's like, I think you can get a lot more out of just teaching someone how to move better. You know, like how to actually like I'm doing all these seminars now, when I go into some gyms, I'm showing them technique, but they can't fucking move. So like, I'm showing some people a technique, but they're walking. So like, 50% of the time they're on the feet, the weak legs at the front. So it's like you'll know from like boxing and that, you'd never walk, would you? Like, you move forward, back, sideways. It's the same foot forward. Like, now and then the stance may change, but rarely, especially in judo. So like, in our gym now, we just do put a lot of emphasis on like how someone's actually properly moving, which straight away makes them harder to be took down. And then if you put a bit of gripping on the end of that, then at least when they come against someone who's actually a good wrestler, they might be able to nullify him a little bit. And just put a few very easy entries to good submission attacking positions on the back of that movement, and you're not far off.
Yeah, I think they really helped with me today to kind of like I have all the kind of final phases of the takedowns, but setting them up.
Yeah, it's the hardest
really
bit.
nice details today with the wrist control and things like that. I'm definitely going to use that. It's going to fit straight into what I do. And again, it's not going to take. I don't have to practice it 100 times. That's in my head now. Just because I've got all the other little bits and the little details that you brought to the table today. Again, it's very transferable. It's going to go straight into the arsenal.
It's super simple stuff, and it's just the thing is with gripping, it's the same gi and no gi.
Yeah.
It's like you just know when you grab something, you get a reaction. So like, it takes the guessing game out of it.
I like the details they're going with it.
Yeah, that's massive.
They're gripping out and they're pulling away, you kind of go with it, and yeah, like that maybe not.
That's purely from judo. That's like we literally just used to do that with the sleeve grips, basically in judo. If I'm right-handed and you're right-handed, I know straight away you want your right hand on my lapel. So if I control your right hand, I take everything away. Literally, I just either catch it, or if you get it on, I'm snapping it off in different ways.
Yeah.
So like in judo, if you actually watch judo now, like if it's a 5-minute match, 4 minutes of it's gripping.
Yeah.
Because the grip fight's so important, because the level that them lads and girls are at, if one of them get the grip once, probably score.
Yeah.
So it's like the grip's like as important as how good your technique is nowadays. It's so important.
It's like a long. Like I mentioned earlier about the jiu-jitsu grips. Like when I'm trying to teach takedowns in jiu-jitsu, everyone's just making like sleeve grips, and it's just not working because they've still got those whole arms are moving. Rather than taking that elbow grip or the sleeve grip underneath.
Yeah. So it's like you want the sleeve, don't you? And the other one's got to be somewhere around here. Like my lapel, if I get a lapel, my knuckles will be in line with the collarbone.
Yeah.
Or I'll go high collar, and that's simply so I can control that shoulder. So I'm controlling the shoulder on one side and the sleeves manipulating the other side. Like judo gripping's like phenomenal, and like anyone that's doing gi in jiu-jitsu, I get asked all the time, should I do judo? You don't really need to do judo, but like there's some serious principles in judo that should be carried across.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, most of my judo has come from John Morris.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit with Darren Horney for a few years.
Yeah, I know Darren as well.
He was the Team England coach for the juniors, I think.
Yeah, he's got a club called, is it Ernest Bevan?
I think it's called Relentless now.
Was it changed?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. As far as I heard, that was a couple of years ago though. One of these black belts is one of my blue belts who trains with me. Okay. But again, I picked up some really good details from Darren too. And obviously John being with me since 2009 on and off for years has made a big difference, and especially training for MMA fights, just learning the judo that's really transferable there. Yeah. But yeah, like it'd be nice if somebody could be that well-rounded as a grappler. Like someone put the effort into MMA, right? As an MMA fighter, you're going to do Muay Thai, you're going to do boxing, you're going to do wrestling, you're going to do jiu-jitsu. As a grappler, if you've done wrestling, you've done judo, you've done jiu-jitsu, like you have done for years, clearly the formula works, isn't it?
100%. Like the thing is, it's just hard. I find it's a lot harder and a lot slower process to learn stand up if you're doing like proper judo style techniques. You know what I mean? Like simply because it's hard to move and that. Like I find if someone puts 6 months into being really good on the feet, and someone puts 6 months into being really good on the floor, the person who did the floor work would have progressed a lot more than the person on the feet. I just think there's a lot more to breaking balance, moving properly, keeping the space between your feet, relaxing. Literally, like there's so much shit. Like that's like what I tried to get across today is if you're doing this for grappling, you don't need loads. Yeah. I mean, you pick a handful of techniques and just make sure you can find them from every single grip.
Do you know who Ronnie Ferguson is? So he's got a really good book. I'll send you it. He's I can't remember what the book's called, but he started judo really late, and he actually has black belt in judo, black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's like 3-0 in MMA. But he was quite old when he started MMA. He was on strike also. But his whole ethos to judo was just learn 3 things and get really good at them. So 3 throws, and he just mastered every entry, every defence on those 3 throws, and he got an Olympic gold. I can't remember what year it was, but he got an Olympic gold. Again, it clearly was just knowing those 3 things.
100%.
You do the same thing as well, right? As you said earlier, just have these 3 things, these 3
Yeah, I can teach about 50 takedowns, but in reality, I probably use a snap down, a fireman's, a rear body lock, single leg and a foot sweep, 5. But like I can hit one of them 5, whatever direction we're moving, whatever reaction you give me, from whatever grip. There'll be one of them 5 that.
So I noticed when we were rolling in, is it Manchester?
I think it was in Manchester.
Yeah. And I was trying to attack a foot that I put 2 on you, and you just counted it. That's exactly what I try and do. That's the difference, isn't it? That's the difference. So I always bait people for it and attack it.
Yeah.
And then I've just done exactly what I do to other people. You've just done it on me, but I just didn't know it was coming because you have that many more. You have the awareness of it. You've done it.
That's it. It's just that's again what I was saying at seminar today when I was encouraging everyone to relax. It feels weird when you're saying it, like you've got to feel it, but you have. Like you've actually got to feel the movement to get your reactions. Like it is purely timing, and the better feel you have for it. Like I'll sometimes allow people to fully engage.
Yeah.
Because I have decent timing. If they're trying to hook my legs, I can get out of the way, and then it ends up me taking them down.
Yeah, I do the same thing with a single actually. I kind of a lot. That's why I bait the single. I've got so many takedowns I've got from defending the single.
Yeah.
And it's usually it's a set down, a little hip throw, a little reversal like that, and sometimes the underhook reversal that you use as well. Let's do that a lot too. But it's so like I was saying earlier, I think there's a lot of really bad takedowns being taught in jiu-jitsu just because of the lack of knowledge. And I don't feel like a lot of gyms would bring in somebody with the good enough level of knowledge to teach their students.
No,
That's happening on that.
Yeah, mate. Like what I've found in jiu-jitsu, and I don't really know why it is that there's a lot of people like who act like they can teach everything.
I
just don't understand it. Like if someone, I've said this loads, like if someone came into my gym and said I specifically want to be a world-class leg locker, I would just say, well, Gripper Jiu-Jitsu's down the road. It's 30 minutes away. Go and train with Lloyd. Because like I can make you a good grappler here 1000%. But definitely not a world-class leg locker. So like if you are absolutely adamant that you want to be a leg locker, go to Google and train with Lloyd instead. Whereas there's even gyms in Hull, mate, where it's like they're selling a dream to everyone, and it's just absolute bollocks. It's like they're teaching every aspect. It's not just jiu-jitsu. They're teaching every aspect of MMA, allowing people to go and fight, and like they're not really good at anything. Some of these coaches that are doing it, it's like. But the thing is, it's just very easy to do now. Like you can genuinely buy an instructional off anything now, on anything, and just regurgitate it. And like, if someone comes in day one, they don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? So they come in day one, you tell them how good you used to be, which might not be true. You show them something off a DVD that someone who knew what they were on about would be able to rip you apart because you obviously don't know the ins and outs of it. But that person who's day one doesn't have a clue. He thinks he's going to get really good.
Yeah, it happens way too often, doesn't it? I think there's 2 aspects to this as well, isn't there? There's the fact that you said it before as well, like you don't have to be a world beater to be a good coach. Like you don't have to be a world-class competitor to be a very good coach. But then also, you kind of want to know what your coach has done. Like, has he done a bit? Has he competed? What's his lineage? What did he get black belt from?
Like personally for me, and this is literally just how I've felt when I've like walked out for matches or wherever. like if I've got someone in my corner, then I have to respect them for like what they've done. You know what I mean? Like I've always thought, if someone's in my corner, it's a ridiculous thing to say, but like my way of thinking is like, if it goes off here, would he jump in? And if he wouldn't, yeah, if he wouldn't, you're not going to be in my corner, mate. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it should be for me. But it's a weird sport, jiu-jitsu. It's a huge sport, but there's very different ways people are doing it. And I don't think they're all wrong either. Like some of them.
No, I think like everyone's right to an extent, but I do think that a lot of clubs need to recognise if they want to develop and they want their students to develop.
That's the thing, though.
Right?
That's the thing, though. I don't know. I don't like it. God knows how many jiu-jitsu clubs there is in Britain now. I don't think. I reckon if you looked at all the jiu-jitsu clubs in Britain, I reckon 50% of them clubs are not even bothered about performance. I think like there's a lot of money in jiu-jitsu.
You reckon it's going the other direction?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of money in jiu-jitsu. Like people, my gym's £55 a month, and you can do whatever you want. And that's like we're in Northern England though as well. And like the amount of messages we get saying that Jesus, that's unbelievably cheap. Which is like it's our part of the country, that's why. But that says to me, some people are paying £100 a month. What if we've got about 180 members, so if they were all paying 100 quid a month, what's that? Like 18 grand a month. Like there's some serious money in jiu-jitsu. So like, and there's a lot of clubs, like I reckon, and for me, like I know this because of our gym, we've definitely lost members because we do train pretty hard. We train clever, like not. We have loads of people in our gym that don't compete, and I'm not bothered. Like, if people want to compete, compete. If you don't, and you just want to enjoy it, you'll enjoy it. But you still have to train a certain way because for me, like, even if you're not competing, surely you still want to be good.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, what are we doing? Like, we're just acting.
So so we got a competition class every Sunday, and I'd say only half of the people that turn up to that class compete. The other half are the guys that train hard every day.
But you need that.
Yeah, and they help. They are the competition team.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are really pumping everybody and getting them ready for competitions, and they're brilliant.
Yeah.
They don't go there to play jiu-jitsu. And I think I had this conversation on Thursday night or Tuesday night. This is a fighting sport. I understand a lot of the people do it socially or as a hobby, but like it's a fighting sport.
Yeah.
You're here to fight. Like it's not. You don't play jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like you're here to compete to learn how to break someone's arm, break someone's leg, or choke them out. Yeah. Obviously, it's not what you're trying to do in training, but it's like there's got to be a certain level of intensity, and it does differ from gym to gym. And I've noticed it myself. Like our guys, Rolly, who was the blue wrestler, the black guy, the blue wrestler. Yeah. Massive personality in that gym. Like he's the vibe. He's one of the guys that gets the vibe. And like he said to me before, like Steve, I've been to other gyms, and someone said to me, I can tell you train at Steve's gym. And it's just like the level of intensity he brings. And he's like going on like late 40s, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But like he likes I tell you what, if I want to get ready for a fight, I'll do 2 or 3 rounds for him.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how many times I take him down, how many times I tap him out, he's back up on his feet and he's going. So a lot of the guys are like that as well. But it's definitely a certain kind of level of intensity that we've built and we've modelled.
I just think, but it just has to be like that if you're genuine about actually making people good. Like, if I could make more money, 100%. Like, I could teach something different every single night, and the classes would be the most interested classes going.
Yeah.
No one would get bored. Whereas, like now, our classes, they're never all the same, but genuinely, the majority of our classes will always come back to probably 1 out of 3 positions.
Yeah.
Because it's just about like repetition and making people get really good. And they genuinely, the only way for them to get good is to just keep fucking doing it.
Yeah.
But like, if I wanted to make like more money, I could just make it really interesting every night. make it a little bit lighter, like give a lot of people the option to not spar, and I'm pretty sure I'd make more money. But I just have a club of people that are just not good at anything.
Yeah, so I struggle with that as well. We've got to find a balance, haven't we? It's like there's been times where I've noticed that some of the blue belts or purple belts that weren't with me from the beginning, they've come from other clubs. I'm like, you don't have to do an armbar properly.
It's crazy.
Like an armbar from guard, you don't know how to do that properly. Like you do it on the wrong arm or you're swinging up the wrong leg. And it's like, okay, so I spent a month just basics and close guard. You know?
Like I just think like the way I look at it is like if someone trains a long time with me regular, if they want to make money from jiu-jitsu or from fighting, they should be able to, or at the absolute minimum, after training with me for 8+ years, they should be able to leave me, open their own gym, and it should be bang on. And if they can't do that, I feel like I've kind of done them a disservice.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got lads in our gym now who've trained 8 years. And like, if I ask them to cover a class, they don't want to do it because they don't feel like they know enough.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Look, a lot of the guys in my gym, like purple belts and above, I'm confident with them teaching class.
Yeah.
And they have done, if I've not been able to make it, I've got like a bunch of brown belts and a bunch of black belts. But for whatever reason, like a couple of the purple belts have been able to cover. And I have every confidence that they'll be able to teach exactly what I've taught them previously. Should go through some questions from, yeah, I won't stitch you up, no worries. There's Danny Thompson, BJJ.
As a young lad, and he came to our scholarship thing actually. It's like,
yeah,
good kid.
Alright, Joe, I'd like to talk about scholarship as well. What advice have you got for a young athlete wanting to pursue professional grappling?
It's simple, isn't it? You just gotta like, there's no secret to it, is there? You just literally gotta keep training. And I would advise travelling as well. Just putting yourself in some shit places, some uncomfortable positions. Yeah, probably don't go to China. Probably try some different places than China. But just go out and get different bits from different coaches. Get some different sparring partners. Compete as much as you can. Because I think Danny's only like 16 as well.
Yeah.
So just get out there and learn your lessons and have a base to come back to and correct the mistakes you make. Yeah, like you've got nothing of it. You're kind of dependent on everyone, aren't you? Like it's a bit, you get a bit easy, gets a bit easier when you're a bit older and you've got your own money and you can just leave and that. But
also, like if he does start taking it quite seriously now, and he gets to the point of 18,
yeah,
and he's going out, he's got decisions to make then as well, isn't it?
You lose loads, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think he's pretty serious. Danny just said he come down to our scholarship thing. And I think he's from like Cornwall or something, which is like it's about 8 hours from us. That I just think he's got quite supportive parents because they were willing to let him move there. So
He's telling me that.
no, he didn't get the scholarship, but
right.
I told him to come next year. He might have a decent chance.
Alright, Matty Dot Steel. What's been the lowest point of your journey so far? And how did you overcome it?
Probably, well, not probably. I was in qualification for the Olympic Games, literally to the last tournament for Rio 2016, and I fell out of qualification. Probably wouldn't copy how I dealt with it because I just got pissed for 18 months. It was like the worst time in my life, basically.
I'm saying that like you say you got pissed for 18 months, but you've been neglecting that as a professional athlete, more or less.
Oh yeah, I just
you've not been going out, not
yeah.
been doing those things.
Oh yeah, like as an athlete, I was bang on it. Yeah, but it got a bit far. yeah, it was a dark time.
It's tough, isn't it? Like it's I think you it was relying on somebody else not winning, right? And you didn't expect them to win, and then they won.
Yeah, so there's a Brazilian lad who failed the drugs test. His name was Nassif Elias. He failed the drugs test. He was a Brazilian number one, so he was like very, very good. But because he failed the drugs test, his ban was up before Rio. But Brazil would not put him in representing their country because he failed his test. So somehow he started competing for Lebanon. But because he'd been out of competing, like he wasn't even in the world ranking list. So like over the last 8 months, like you could just see him medaling and everything. So he was like super legit. Like I fought him, I think it was in Peru, and he beat me for bronze somewhere, I think, or he beat me in the semi-final. I got bronze and he won. So I knew he was very good, but I didn't think he'd catch me. Literally went to the last tournament. He caught up, took over me, so I fell out. But what actually happens is when you fall out of qualification, I had, out of males in the whole of Europe, I had the most qualification points out of every male who wasn't in qualification.
Right.
So what that does, it gives you a continental quota. So even though I fell out, I fell into a continental quota, which meant I'd still go.
Yeah.
So then I went to day 2 to watch the under 100 kilo category, because the only possible way I could lose my quota is if this Hungarian lad in 100 kilos won gold, because then he would knock the GB lad out, Ben Fletcher, of qualification. But Ben had more points than me, so Ben would take the quota off me.
Right.
So I was sat in the crowd day 2. I've looked at this Hungarian's draw. He had a Mongolian first, or a Kazakhstani first, and it was in Kazakhstan. So I thought that's going to be really tough. And he had Fonseca from Portugal, who is now the current world champion, so like that's the level he was. And then he had Karl Richard Frey from Germany, who was shit up. So I thought, I'm alright, there's absolutely no way he wins. And he fucking won. So like, I was sat in the crowd, he goes through the first one, I'm like, it's alright lads, he's got Fonseca next. Beats Fonseca. Like, right, he's still got Frey. Beats Frey, gets to the final, and I'm like, yeah, like twitchy butt time now, like you can really fucking win. So Ben dropped out, took my quota, and then I lost my quota. It was a fucking long flight home.
Lawrence Williams. Why are you never in your opponent's half guard? Is this an intentional strategy for you?
Not at all, really. I think I've been in an half guard before.
Is it something you generally try to avoid?
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I like being in an half guard. Like,
yeah, that's pretty cool. That quarter Nelson.
Yeah, quarter Nelson, double unders, reverse half guard. Like half guards, like a lot of my takedowns linked to half guard. I love being in half guard. It's definitely not strategic. I think I was in half guard against Weidman. I think. Yeah, because like a lot of the passing, I do a lot of body lock passing as well. So sometimes I'll pass with a 2-on-1 on that.
Track down into half guard.
Yeah, but a lot of the times I do end up in half guard.
Yeah. I quite like being half guard. One of my rules that I've tried to implement with all my students is when you're in half guard, rather than knee slide and go to 3/4 now.
Yeah.
Because then you've got down, or you've got the back.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to knee slide to side control.
And
then they gain guard or they mess it up, whatever. So the next one is, have you had any serious injuries in the past? How did you overcome them?
Touch wood, I've only had one. I snapped my ACL when I was 18 or 17. That was a mad trip. I was in Poland on my own again, just training. A lad tried to like suplex me, but didn't pick me up. He just dropped through the back of my knee. He snapped my ACL, my MCL, and torn my cartilage. So I had a full knee reconstruction. Yeah, I was lucky to be fair. I got a really good physio, but he was the British wrestling physio at the time. So like everything we did, like we did your basic strength work first, your mobility work. But as soon as my legs were to a level where I could actually like support myself, walk properly, squat, all the movements we were doing were like very wrestling specific and involved a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
Like I've got a lot of mates who play professional rugby from when I was a kid. Like they carried on with rugby and they play first team. Some of them have snapped ACLs 6 times, like 3 in each knee. Like 3 in each knee, like just keeps repeating. Whereas touch wood, I've snapped mine once. Got this physio, worked specifically on like similar movements to what would be made wrestling and judo, and it's still there somehow. Yeah, and that's like what 13 years ago now. That so.
I did my MCL a little while back, and it's still giving me problems there.
Really?
I think it didn't snap, but it was like on the verge.
Yeah.
Did a bit of rehab on it. Ended up tweaking it at that Progress 10-year anniversary thing. I was messing about with Nadine. She went for a toe hold. I was trying to show her something, and she span. I pulled it out, and it tweaks again. I was like, oh, like another month. It was quite sore.
Knees are tricky injuries though.
Yeah.
It's just I ended up with a good physio, and at the time I was a young lad who obviously didn't have a job or anything. So I just did my rehab more than what they told me to. Basically, I think I did my rehab program 3 times a day instead of once.
Yeah.
And I was back on the mat competing in 7
It's the thing
months.
with athletes, isn't it? They take everything seriously. Like if you can take your rehab as seriously as you take your S&C, as seriously as you take your judo training, then
I think I was lucky that I was young as well.
yeah.
I think if I did it now,
Yeah, that's about
it'd take longer now.
definitely,
Like
definitely.
17, I was recovering overnight
Oh,
from
yeah.
everything. 31, mate.
Oh,
Yeah,
31.
31, old.
Are you noticing it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely smashed to be
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, I've got some issues now, like my hips, my knees, my hips, my wrists, my neck.
So I started taekwondo when I was 9. I think I was in the Indian squad by the time I was 14 and 16 in the GB squad. And obviously training every day, 7 days a week. And taekwondo is all really flexible stuff, you know. So it's like going from that, and I think then I wanted to play football. So my hamstring just went. So my hamstrings then were really tight because I was just sprinting all the time.
Yeah. Your body accustoms to your sport, and like we had a member called Lee Gates who was a massive powerlifter. Got into jiu-jitsu and actually was really good. Like I'm pretty good at his left to be fair. Big heavyweight, like a lot of potential. Like listened well, trained really hard, picked things up really quick. His body was mangled from powerlifting, like slipped discs in his back. Like ended up tore his forearm. Like, I've never even heard of that.
Well, the thing is, forearm and pec and bicep for powerlifters and strongmen are big ones.
Forearm as well, really.
Yeah.
So he's gone now. His body just in bits, but.
Alright, the last one, well, no, second to last one. How do you know when someone's ready for the next belt? How do you grade your guys? Is it a case by case thing?
It's just like for me, like if they're competing, it's easier. Like if they compete, if someone's consistently winning tournaments at their belt, then for me, go and try it at the next belt.
What if they don't compete?
I just like for me, it'll take someone longer if they don't compete. I definitely grade them.
Yeah.
Like I've graded loads who don't compete in the gym, but it definitely takes them longer because like even though I see them progressing in the gym and they look better in the gym, I think once you've been in a gym for a long time, you're not cross training and you get used to everyone. So you definitely getting away with stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I take that into account. I take it into account, and I'm not really seeing them under pressure and that as well, which I think plays a big part. Like if you've got good jiu-jitsu, but someone puts a bit of pressure on you and you can't do it, it's not good, is it? Like, so I'd still grade people, but it takes them a lot longer. I just base that on how much they're training. Like if someone's training once a week, I mean, it's taking fucking ages. Like if someone says, like people put times on it, don't they? Like 2 years for a blue belt.
Yeah, I pay no attention to it.
If someone was training once a week with me, it wouldn't be 2 years blue belt. Like the lad who's training four times a week, probably be about 2 years ish, roughly. Some of them have given it less. We've had some lads who've been in every morning, every night, 4 or 5 days a week. I've given them a blue belt in a year. But like, no one could question that because they're good enough.
I got my blue belt after about 8 months, I think. And then I was a blue belt for a little while. So it took me 6 years to get my black belt.
Yeah.
But I was competing. I was training every day and I was competing. So it gets to a point where it's undeniable. Like, if you're going there and you're winning gold after gold after gold in the most prestigious competitions.
That's the way I'd advise.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to get everyone to complete that way.
Yeah, we do in-house comps as well, which are good. They're good.
Where creates that pressure environment.
Oh, it's unreal. Yeah, like our white belt, blue belt. We normally do white and blue belts at the minute. We'll have about 50 in it, and we just fight like fuck. Honestly, we're there. It's about a 7-hour day. Everyone who's watching just having a beer. So like by the time it gets to the final, everyone's absolutely hammered, just screaming at 2 people in the middle. Yeah, the final we literally make it no time limit. So like a couple of the matches have gone for like 40 minutes. Both lads just absolutely dead, but they're not allowed to stop because there's like 65 pissed up blokes screaming at them. And the winner gets a promotion. So we do that as well. That's good, mate. It's a good. We do it every Christmas, guaranteed, and one in the summer as well. It's good for it's good like team building as well. Like everyone gets together, everyone gets pissed. Like it's a good laugh.
Your federal scholarship program. So when I went to college, like my secondary school education was poor. Like I lived in South London, the school was awful, no one gave a crap. I didn't give a crap. And when I moved down here, I got like a football scholarship. I wasn't even going to go work with that, do plumbing and heating. I got a football scholarship and I was playing for Dartford. And it was education in the morning, football training in the afternoon, but it created that professional training environment that was linked in with the education.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing anything like that with your guys?
I'd love to do it. So we tried. So like my first idea was to try and get a little team training full time. Because like I said, our gym, like I actually do want to produce good people, like 100%. Like literally, all my gym's about for me really is first to produce someone who's really good. Second, absolute minimum is to produce someone who can go and run their own gym and make money from jiu-jitsu. And number three would be enjoyment. Literally, enjoyment for me would come after the others. So like, I wanted a full-time team to like produce a really good standard. So then I at the beginning I kind of thought I'll try and do it as quick as I can, which was like how I did it at Camberley.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely trying to let people live in the gym, but like I was gonna do it, and then someone come up to us and said like, you cannot do that because like one, it's not got an housing license.
Yeah.
Two, you've got one entrance and one exit. Like it's not fire safe basically for someone to live. So that fucked that. So then I went to Hull Uni, because then my idea, which I'm still trying to push, was to try and tie education in with training. So what I've said is to them is they could use it as an advertising point to like get students to come to Hull Uni by saying like, look, if you come to Hull Uni, you can train MMA, jiu-jitsu, whatever you want, basically full-time at Carlson's, and tie that in with your education.
Yeah.
And then their accommodation would be a student block. But that's like what I'm still trying to do. But trying to get that through is like such a slow process.
I might be able to help you with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've done it a lot with the kids I used to work with. A few different avenues. Also the guys, Danny Roberts and I can't remember the other guy's name. They do it in Liverpool, I think.
Right. See, because like we're judo, like Bath Uni's like that.
Yeah.
Bath Uni's a full-time judo centre where everyone goes training full-time and just study as well.
I think it'd be easier to link it with like college ages into like a BTEC national diploma in sport.
Yeah.
2-year course. And that's what I did when I done football. And I'm pretty sure there's a club up in Liverpool that do the same thing with MMA with a BTEC national diploma in sport. Or you could go down the other route and do it with like shorter courses and do it with like a gym instructor qualification, a personal trainer qualification, and link some other things on stuff. But yeah, I think I'd better face it for you.
Yeah. Anything like that would be good, because I just know when I finished judo, I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I just went to judo.
Yeah.
I didn't do any studying at all. The day that I said I'm not going to do judo anymore, I was like, shit, what am I actually going to do? I had no qualification. So
I was lucky because I said it was football.
Yeah.
I hate football. I was good at playing it. I won't watch it for shit. I hate football. I hate the environment. I hate it's just football's not for me, but it gave me an education.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I would not have had a degree in sports development like I have now. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming in. Thanks for the seminar. It was awesome.
Good.
And
Good.
I think I'll come up and train you soon.
Come whenever you want, mate. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.